Hello everyone, this is Clay Ramage coming back with a project. This is for Nicole Northgarden's challenge on Get It Done February. This project I have had sitting around for a long time, years literally. And part of that was not knowing exactly what I wanted to do with it, and two, having all the supplies to do it with. So what it is this mid-century stool. Does open up. Ooh, nice bright red interior. Top of it is a little trashed. So what we're going to do is we are going to redo this stool, but not in just anything normal, because that would be boring, right? It's mid-century modern. What do you think of mid-century modern? Glamour, Hollywood, movie stars, right? And since I happened to find this at the bins, we are going to recycle this beautiful fur coat, which does have some condition issues. So that's why we're going to recycle it. It's kind of like coming apart under the arms. The interior lining is falling apart. And so this beautiful coat is going to become a beautiful footstool. Okay, so one of the first things I did was I took the lid off, just screwed on to the back hinges right here. So I just took the 3 screws out of each hinge, then I washed it well, because I'm actually, for the base, I'm not going to take the old covering off. I'm going to leave it on, and I'm going to leave the interior lining in there. I'm going to give it a new lining, but it's all glued down, and I just don't want to have to destroy the whole thing to take it out. And the base of it, the fabric is in really good shape, and that will give an extra layer to help prevent wear to the fur, because as it hits the edges along here, if this is a sharp edge or directly against the wood, it would wear through the leather fairly quickly. So this way it gives an extra layer of protection between a sharper edge in the fur. So that's good. Now the lid, because it's toast and this is a cotton batting, there's a lot of it missing, so it actually concaves in. So this I will take apart, at least take the top off, and then score around this and take it off and put new padding on it in order to do that. But the base is in great shape and does not need that. So let's proceed with getting the cover off. Okay, now I've got the gold cover stripped off the lid. And so I just took a knife and cut it around the edge, pulled it off. I'm going to leave this small layer of cotton batting on the bottom. And because I love shopping at the bins, right? One of the things that I did is I picked up this cushion for the batting inside to replace it on here, rather than going out and buying new batting, which I would spend quite a bit of money for. So what I'm trying to do with this video is show you how to use, repurpose, recycle, reuse, whatever, different materials in your projects. So you don't always have to go out and buy new stuff. So like this is just a polyfill batting. It's almost, you know, it's a great shape. It's just a few inches larger than the base. Now, what you want in this particular case, because the inside is indent just a little bit and we want extra to fall over the edge. So because this is a layered batting, I'm actually going to split it in half like that, and then cut down one piece to be the exact size of the lid, and the other piece oversized so that it drapes over the edges, gives some additional padding on the edges. Be back when we're done. Okay, got the new batting on the seat. What I did was I took an old pillowcase, cut it up, and stapled it down. The reason I did that was I didn't want the pressure of having to hold the foam down for the batting. I didn't want that pressure to be done by the fur I want it to be done by this muslin, and then the fur can just drape over the top of it again to prevent more wear and faster deterioration, because there's less rubbing then against the materials. So it's good to have a little extra layer of protection in there. So that's what we did that. Our next step is going to be to line the interior, I think. No, I think the next step, we're going to lay out how we want the pattern of the fur coat to lay onto the top and base of the stool. All right, stay tuned. All right, the next step is to take the coat, cut off the lining and any other supporting materials between the lining and the actual outside fur coat. So let's disassemble the coat. Okay, now we have the coat lining removed. This is what we have left. It's just the fur. This is the inside of the fur, the part you don't really ever see. This is how they put a fur coat together. They're actually sew these very tiny patches together. And that's how they get these different designs. It's because each one of these is a smaller patch. And in this particular case, what I want to do is down the back of the coat is this center line. And I want this down the middle of the lid and down the front of the stool so that it matches going all the way down. So that's going to be my starting point. So I will measure out the correct size for the top and then cut this with some extra for selvage to be able to staple it down, and then I'll do the next panel for the bottom piece. So let's get into it. All right, we are ready to start cutting out the fur. Now what I've done is I measured the top piece, actually marked the center line on both directions so that I can keep the pattern, straight. I have marked the back of the fur with where I need to cut. Now, first thing with fur, do not use scissors to cut fur. If you do, number one, you're going to have fur flying everywhere. Number two, it's going to make a straight line on the fur and make it look unnatural. So what you want to do is use a X-Acto knife or a craft knife of some sort to cut along the mark that you've made so that the fur still remains natural and not a couple times to score through the back of the leather. And that's okay, just take your time, be patient, and start cutting it out. So I'll cut this out and then I'll come back. Okay, now I've got the fur cut out and I've laid the top onto the fur, lining up the center lines. So you want to, if there isn't one on the fur, you want to mark that and put one on the fur so that you can line everything up to keep it, your pattern, centered. Okay, so now I'm going to staple it down and we'll be right back. Okay, I've now got it stapled on all four sides. I have the corners still open. Here's what we're going to do. Because of the extra on the corners, there's different ways you can do corners. But what I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a bringing you in for a closer look on what I'm doing here. So in this particular case, I left the selvage edge, which comes from the bottom of the fur. This will be the front of the stool. So I left that on there just as an easier way to make this transition between the top and the bottom. I didn't do that on the back. This is the back side where the hinges are. So I will pull this over and then just staple it down through the fur. And I am just using a hand stapler on this. I want to do this. I do have a professional air gun, but I want to show you how to do this with regular home hand tools. This is one I got at Hobby Lobby. I do have a tack hammer because sometimes with the manual staplers, the staples do not go in deeply, so then I just tap them in with the hammer To the next step, I already had sewed and attached the base of the stool, and so that's all done on all 4 sides, and now I'm beginning to reattach the top. So I'm putting the hinges back on, and we'll screw those on, and then we'll screw them to the top. Let's see how well she works. Now we have the lid screwed back on, the hinge. I put a fabric print on the top, and now I'm going to reline the interior with some different fabric. So we're coming along. Okay, I've got the rest of the lining sewed together. Now we're gonna staple it down into the interior of the footstool. Okay, we have the stool finished. I put the legs back on. Here's what it looks like from the outside. One of the things I like to do is always have a surprise or an unexpected element. So right here is one of the pockets from the coat. So there's a pocket. This is on the back side of the stool. Here's the hinges. So you can store some treasures in there. And then around to the front, we open it up, and there's the interior lined with different fabrics. I wanted it to be kind of a contrast, so there's, you know, different. And that's our finished stool. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Bye.